We're learning the fourth Sikha in Chelek Tezayin of Parsha Shemos on page 29. The Shir Zil Nishmas Rabbi Yosef ben Yamin ben Rabbi Menashe Koltman. In Pasuk Vayemer Aleim Melech Mitzrayim. The Pasuk in this week's Parsha says Parei Melech Mitzrayim tells Moshe and Aaron, Lama Moshe v'Aaron tafriya samim ma'asav. Why are Moshe and Aaron disturbing the people from their work? L'chu l'siv l'seichem. Go to your labors. Zena Chazal medayik. So Chazal explain specifically what do these two words l'chu l'siv l'seichem, go to your labors, mean. V'bal there is ma'asav l'chu l'siv l'seichem. When Parei adds these two words, go to your siv l'seichem, on the diak here is estet l'siv l'seichem, go to your labors. To ayer Moshe v'Aaron's egen arbeit, go to your own work that you're occupied with. Meaning not nit to myself. He doesn't say that let them go to their work, or nitziv loisam, their labors, from pasuk gleich nach dem to the avodas perech von all Yidden, which then it would be referring to the hard work and the hard labor of all Yidden. So rather, the Torah is dividing this. There's the work, the hard labor of all Yidden, and then there's Sivlei Seichem, your labors, Moshe and Aaron's labors. It's mochach, it's clear, Azezen geven frei von them, that they were free of working the work that all other Yidden had to. Ashifte shalevi pane hayam avodas perech. The Shevet of Levi, which Moshe and Aaron come from, were free from all the difficult work that Yidden had to work in Mitzrayim. The Ramban is Mavayer. The Ramban explains this. What's the reason for this? Why is Shevet Levi exempt from all the work? As is minig b'cholam. This is customary in every nation. Liislem chachamim meire terasam. That there are the wise ones that teach them their laws, and they are the ones that are designated for this and don't have to work. And the farat Parei is geteilt im Shevet Levi. So therefore Parei also recognized this law and separated Shevet Levi, and they were befreit from them shibut, and they were freed from the work. Because they are the wise ones and the elders of the Yidden. Das hat Parei gemeint mit l'chulis of l'seichem l'Yisrael. Parei is saying, go to your labor l'Yisrael for the benefit of Yidden, so their arbeit von lernen und sein meire terassen zu Yidden. Your work, which consists of learning and teaching the laws or the Torah to the Yidden. So this is the Ramban. So the Rebbe now explains what does this really mean. Das heißt, in other words, as Parei hat geteinet zu Moshe v'Aaron. What Parei was really saying to Moshe and Aaron is as follows. Es ist genug, was ihr seid frei von Shibut Mitzrayim. It's already enough the fact that you are freed from the work in Mitzrayim, und ihr könnt allein lernen Torah, and you yourself have time to learn, und lernen Torah euch mit Yidden. Not only that, you're able to even learn and teach Torah to the Yidden. Was darf sich euch hereinmischen? Why do you also have to mix into in Klolis didn't say that Achayim und Meißen von the anderen Yidden regarding the general life and the position and the job that all the Yidden are supposed to work? And disturbing them, and not that they shouldn't conduct themselves according to the laws and the requirements in the country. It should be sufficient for you. The fact that you learn, and from time to time you can even learn with the Yidden Torah, that's already more than enough. That's the understanding of what Parei was saying when he said, L'chul l'siv l'seichem. It's enough that you have your time, your work, referring to learning Torah. But what you don't need more than this. Leave the Yidden to follow the law and order in the country. Steht in Zohar, to explain this on a deeper level, what this pasuk really is saying here. So this is based on what it says in the Zohar. As Chachmei Mitzrayim, that is given Yoser Mikol Olam. The wisdom, the sciences, and so on that were in Mitzrayim was more than in any other place in the world. Und dazu is Parei allein given a Chacham Gadol. And to all of this, Parei himself, being the leader of the entire Mitzrayim, was very wise. The Taina from Parei is given a Taina v'satan art and Seichel Olam. And therefore, Parei, his argument was something that has place. And it has place in if you look at things from a worldly perspective, Parei was smart and he was saying something which makes sense. And that's as follows. Al piteva haben Yidden sich nicht gekannt befreien von Golas Mitzrayim. Naturally, the condition Yidden were in, they were there, they were stuck in Mitzrayim, there's no way they can free themselves, they're there to stay. Kemay Merazal, as it says in the Medrash, as the Hoya Eved, Yachol Uvroyach Mitzrayim. No slave had any ability to leave or to run away from Mitzrayim. Nachme, Not only is this so in reality, them being in Mitzrayim, Das is given masim with the Seder an Hagel Malmaila. This is actually also fitting with the way it's intended to be from the Eibishter, from above. While the Eibishter's Geseder from Galus Mitzrayim is given of Abba Meishana. The decree for Yidden to be in Galus Mitzrayim was 400 years, and this is still in that time period. Und das hat Pari geteinet, and this is the basis of Pari's argument. Was geht dir Mishane sein Teva und dem Eibishter's Drachem? Why are you looking to change the nature of things? Oh, and also, additionally, the Eibishter's ways, the Eibishter's Geseder that they're supposed to be here. What does that mean? Gate learning the Shiyurei Torah. Go learn your Shiyurim that you learn Torah. Und lasst Yidden finden sich, wie es fordert sich mitzad der Seder and Hagas Eilam. And allow Yidden to live and be in the world and here in Mitzrayim according to what's demanded in the Teva and the way the Eibishter designed it. So seemingly, this is a very good argument. Because this is not only mitzad the Teva, but also mitzad the Seder and Hagas, the way the Eibishter intended it to be. Sagt nun of them, so what's the response to this argument of Pare? As Agam, es is l'chayra tainit tzedekes, even though seemingly this is a rightful claim, a rightful argument, is this aber tainis Pare. But don't forget, who's the one that's saying this here? It's Pare. Und oimevot on them sein Taine, if we were to accept his argument, vot mechas v'shalom verspielt the ganze inyan agula, then we would have lost the whole opportunity of being redeemed altogether. Okay, you do it's known what it says, as the gula had gemus zayin b'chipazen. When Yidden came time for them to be redeemed, they had to leave in a haste. Weil die Yidden wollten sich verhalten in Galus Mitzrayim, afille nar auf noch a herefein. If Yidden would have been held up in Mitzrayim for even one more eyes blink, wollten gewen kein Gula, wollten gekent sein the Gula rather. There would be no possibility for them to be redeemed. They would have been immersed in the impurity of Mitzrayim without the ability to leave. Dafke durch dem, was man sich nicht zugehört zu Pari's Red. It was only by not listening to Pari's words and to Pari's argument here, is gekommen the Gula. This brought the fact that Yidden were redeemed. So what's the answer though? Yes, it's true. If you're going to think logically, there's room for his argument. Yidden sind aber nicht gebunden durch die Agballes von Seichel v'seder Eilemis. Yidden are not bound to any limitations logically or any other orders that there may be in any of the worlds. Und der Rebbe so therefore, nicht gucken dich of them, was Gesedes like Golas is given. Yes, the decree for Yidden to be in Golas was for 400 years. Is the Gula given a sach frie. But nevertheless, ultimately, Yidden were redeemed much before this time. In an Eifem from Dilig allocates, as it says in the Medrash, that the Eibishter skipped over the time and redeemed them earlier. So therefore the point is, Yidden are not bound by any laws of nature, and not even by the laws of the Eibishter's decrees itself that is within the Seder HaElamis that Rabbi refers to it here. Yidden are above any of these orders. So what can we learn out from this? The Rebbe goes straight into the lesson, and here gives us a very powerful and relevant lesson from this. The lesson is, as a Yid soll nicht trachten. A Yid should never think to himself, Ich lerne doch Torah. I, Baruch Hashem, am learning Torah. Is anias nafshi tzalti. I've saved my soul. Und befragt, als ich gebe noch von Zeit zu Zeit a shir b'Torah zu andere, and even more so, from time to time, I also do give a share of Torah to others. Was is mir auf a so viel negeya, wie es 40 a zweite Yid? But why should I be so busy thinking about? Why is it so important for me about the behavior of another Yid? Yes, mekayim mitzvahs, another Yid, whether he's doing mitzvahs or the chas v'shalom nit, or God forbid not. Why should that perturb me? Why should I be so worried about that? Whether another Yid is spending all of his energies for Hashem's sake, or whether he's working and utilizing all of his energies for Parai, Afinyanim Gashmiyim, involving it all in physical things and things that are not connected to Hashem. And the Rebbe here explains what this means. What's the negativity about Inyanim Gashmiyim? Gashmi is mitzadatzma, the physicality of the world itself. If you detach it from the godly energy that's in it, is as vibayim Pisim veRamses are pare. It's equivalent to what Chazal described regarding building the two cities of Pisim and Ramses, the cities of Pare. Chazal Zenadas Mefarish, the Gemara explains what are the names Pisim and Ramses. Ramses means Sherisha and Rishon Misraises. One after one, they would build the cities and it would constantly collapse. And Pisaim, Sherisha and Rishon Pitaim Baile, that one by one the abyss would swallow it all up. As hot can kiyim it. What this really resembles is the fact that Gashmi is detached of its godliness, which gives it its energy, cannot last. So you see a Yid that's involved in Gashmis and these kind of things, and you know he's investing his mind, his heart, and his energies into things that have absolutely no kiyum. So why should I care about that, you say? I'm doing what's right, and from time to time I share with others, I give a share Torah as well. Darf man wissen sein. So here, this parsha teaches us, you must know, as das is given da Shkofe from Pare Melech Mitzrayim. This is the perspective of Pare with his argument here. Was hat gesagt, l'chol l'sivleseichem. When he tells Moshe and Aaron, go be busy with your labors. Fadir is genug was du lernst Torah. Sivleseichem, the fact that you're learning Torah, that's more than enough. Was ist dir azay von der Gei, der Einführung von der zweiten Jiden? Why are you so worried about taking care of the behavior and the lifestyle of all the other Jiden here? Das ist aber nicht kein Seder anhage von a Jiden. This kind of a conduct, this kind of an outlook is not for a Yid. Was der Fahr hat Moshe und Aaron nicht angenommen, Paris Teine. Therefore Moshe and Aaron, of course, did not accept Paris' argument. Kishem, and the example to understand this would be as follows. Kishem vi be'ez men zet, as es brennt a fire achmonel tzan na Yiddischen Haus. If you see that there's a fire, literally, God forbid, burning in a Yiddish house, nobody is going to sit down and start discussing whether he should do something. Does this perturb me? Do I care about this? Should I save someone from a fire? And start making calculations. How can I do something? Was darf ich sich mischen in dem zweiten Sinyanim? Why should I get involved in matters that are not me? It's private business. It's his things. Why should I get involved? It's his house. His house is burning and there's people inside there, but it's private business. What does that have to do with me? Jeder Mensch hat doch sein Seder HaChaim, was ist ausgestellt von der Ashgacha Al-Chayena. Everybody has their lifestyle and the way they live their life, which was all designed and they were brought to this by divine providence. Is was soll ich sich hereinmischen in the Meibischen Zerachim? Why should I mix into Hashem's ways when there's a house burning on fire? This is poshut. It's obvious that this is ludicrous. No one would think this way. As jeder eine, was that as passiering, when you see such a thing happening, wird sich nicht reinlassen in the shackle of Vetaria. You don't get involved in these kinds of discussions when there's a fire burning. See, this is ausgehalten like der Shitte. Is this something which fits with this opinion or with this approach, or der zweite Shitte or a different approach? Na, wird bald laufen rat mit dem zweiten. You see a fire burning, you immediately instinctively run to save whoever is there. If this is true when it comes to the life of a person, the physical life in this world, is kolshke, how much more so when it's that paying attention and giving the proper involvement and be interested in the life of another Yid, both spiritual life, Chai Olam Haba and Chai Olam Hazeh together. As es hat kein Ordnung zu machen Cheshbainis. There's definitely no place to make any calculations. Nor ton als es meken zeratzim yenim and be'eshachas. Do whatever is possible immediately and instinctively to save someone from sinking down in the lowest place into Sheol Tachtas or be'eshachas, into the lowest places. So the Rebbe now connects this also with, of course, the obvious obligation of Avos Yisrael. That this is something that's demanded of each one of us, this kind of approach to take interest in another Yid's life because of the proper feeling of Avos Yisrael that we're taught according to the Chassidus and the Baal Shem Tov. So, the Frierdiker Rebbe repeated in the name of the Baal Shem Tov, as the Chiyuv von Avos Yisrael, the obligation, the mitzvah of Avos Yisrael, but zieht sich nicht nur zu Yidden, was mit ihm bekannt. Is not only referring to a Yid that you're acquainted with him, you're familiar with him. No, die Avad of sein euch zu Yidden was gefindt sich ergens bekat zwei Tevel. The love of Avos Yisrael is even for a Yid that's found somewhere in the other side of the world. On the Ave and the extent of this love, or the intensity of this love, Dav Zayin should be nitztam ve'ahavta mitagbola, not just to love with a certain limitation, up to a point. Nor kamaycha. Kamaycha means without any limitation. Azevi min hat sich, mahat holt sich on akbalis, just like one loves himself without any limitations. That's what the Torah means by kamaycha, comparing it to yourself, that the love for your fellow Yid should be unlimited. The Rebbe hat erzählt, Frierdiker Rebbe once related, as the Mezritcher Magid hat sich gewünschen, the Mezritcher Magid wished for himself, as a Levai wollte gekusht the Sefer Torah, that he wishes that he would have the ability to kiss, he would kiss a Sefer Torah mit derselbe Ave v'chibe was the Rebbe, the Baal Shem Tov had to a Yidden, with the same kind of love and cherishness that the Baal Shem Tov had for another Yid. Und der Rebbe hat Meise gewähnt, B'Shem Rav Magid, and the Friedrich Rebbe added further in the name of the Magid, Oy the Baal Shem Tov, Vot Zayndik, Ba'al Medain, if the Baal Shem Tov, while he was living here in this world, gewusst, he would know, wie viel tut oif mit sein Kiruv zu Yidden, how much he accomplishes by him bringing Yidden closer and his Avos Yisrael to Yidden, azevi weiß das itzten, to the extent that he's aware of it now when his neshama is l'mayla, vot es gewen, go bei v'nachal gamri. This would have been on a completely different level. And this was all shared with us as a lesson to us here in this world. Und der Wahrhaftel Reacha Kamoicha darf sich ausdrücken in dem. And the main point here is that this love for your fellow Yid, in what is this expressed? It has to be expressed in this as Geshein Vibayim Alein, just like when it comes to yourself. Kamoicha, you're regarding yourself. Is dar you have your involvement, the things that you're occupied with. As a gefinzach bala shel Torah, that you have the opportunity to be in the tent of Torah, ubala shel tefillah mitzvahs, in the tent of davening and also fulfilling mitzvahs. So if you have that opportunity for yourself, you should have the feeling and the concern that another Yid should have the same. Nobody should say that this is something that is impossible and I don't have the ability to affect another Yid, because Hashem never demands of a Yid more than what he could accomplish. It's absolutely certain. As man hat gegeben alle nötige alles Nötige of das Eistefiren. Everything required, everything necessary was provided for a person to accomplish this, to affect another Yid. Man darf nur wissen, all you have to know is, as man tarnet ablegen die Arbeit auf nach a Woche. You can't procrastinate and delay it for another week, or a tag, or even a day, or that I feel if I had a fire, or even if a blinks eye. Like in a situation where a fire is burning, you have to jump in immediately to save the souls that are there. Weil es ist recht, it's possible, as der Herr find that one moment is machria, will be the tipping point, zime soll bleiben in Galus, chas v'sholem, whether we will remain in Galus for another moment, oder man soll ausgelesen werden, or whether we'll be redeemed, bis begole shleima, to be redeemed with the ultimate redemption. Und das ist die Hira, so this is the practical lesson. Was ist negeya zu die alle, was sind be'al shel Torah, for all those that have the merit and the opportunity to be sitting and learning Torah all day. Koilel Talmidei Yeshivas. This is including the yeshiva students that are intended to be sitting and learning Torah all day. And this is also the lesson for all Yidden, that their life is in the corner of light, in a corner that's illuminated. In other words, they're born in a place and in a community, in a family, that they're raised with the values of Torah and mitzvahs. So if you see, as by zweiten Yidden is der Matzav Aruchni nit kedabei, that by someone else his spiritual condition is not the way it should be. Nit genug lichtig, not enough illuminated. Don't think to yourself that you can just ignore all of this and you can just save your own soul. Especially since all Yidden are considered to be one, or are one large unit, one big body, is b'shas as es felt shleimus and Torah mitzvahs by zweiten Yidden. If there's lacking in the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs by another Yid, felt this by him, and by alle Yidden. It's lacking by yourself and by all Yidden together as one. Torah sagt werden Yidden. The Torah describes Klal Yisrael all together. Atem nitzavim hayom kulchem lefnei havai lekechem. We all stand together in front of Hashem, and the Torah tells us Rasheichem shivteichem michayte veitzecha at sheiv mimecha. From the leaders amongst you, the wood choppers, the water carriers, all stand together. V'mishtel toi soldaten in a parad far the melech. If you line up the soldiers and a parade to march in front of the king, is the Seder, the order is, as ob eine von die Pashte Soldaten, even if one of the simple soldiers hat nit wie geherig ausgeputzt die Knöpfe von seinem Mundir, he doesn't have his buttons properly polished, the buttons of the that he's wearing, of the mundir, the army clothing that he's wearing, is not properly polished, even just one simple soldier. Montman, that is, so this is something that will be demanded, nit na by dem soldat, from this soldier. Why is his button not polished? Nor men mon be'eker, by the mefaked Rashi. The one that will be demanded, why is this soldier not properly in his uniform? That's the word for mundir, his uniform. It'll be demanded by his general. Why didn't he teach his soldiers, sie sollen wissen, zuzugreifen sich, wie zu stehen vor einem Melech? to know exactly how you have to be properly prepared with the proper honor in front of a king. So therefore, even the Rosh Sheichem have to realize that what's going on by the simple foot soldier, by a simple Yid, is relevant to you. One has to know, but that when we all stand together in front of Hashem, so it will not be demanded only of those simple Yidden, the wood choppers and the water carriers, regarding their behavior, not adarab, that the main ones that will be demanded regarding the perfection of the Torah mitzvahs of all of Klal Yisrael will be by the leaders, by the ones that have the power to teach and influence. Und sie wollen nicht kennen sich verämpfern damit, weil sie dann gewähnt von Nummer mit sich. And they will never be able to excuse themselves just by saying, oh, we were busy learning with ourselves, we were busy with our own Torah. Und b'shas as Yidden wollen sich führen wie a Kaimacha Shleima. When all Yidden, all the Klal Yisrael will conduct themselves as it should be, seeing themselves, each individual seeing themselves as being as part of the one big unit of the whole Klal Yisrael as one. Alle Yidden zusammen, all Yidden together. Von Roshechem Shiftechem, from the heads amongst you, the simple Jews, the water carriers and the wood choppers. When all Yidden create one unit, one union together. So then we will merit to their last place, the continuation of what we say there in davening, to fulfill Hashem's will with a full heart, and that means even you yourself. By concluding other Yidden, only then could you fulfill Hashem's will, belev of Shalom. Es wird sein Havaya Echad Ushma Echad, and will merit to see the revelation of the unity of Hashem's name, Hashem Himself and Hashem's name in the world.